joining this webinar. So I'm Siddharth, the founding member of Complyance, and in this webinar, we'll be discussing the advantages and disadvantages of building an e-invoicing solution in-house or buying it from a vendor. So without further delay, let's get into the topic of why this webinar matters and why this question arises in many companies. So if you see, almost 80 plus countries are mandating e-invoicing in their own unique e-invoicing mandates with their own unique e-invoicing structures in the upcoming years. And for companies, they have to follow these mandates and get compliant with e-invoicing within the deadline and go live with e-invoicing. So obviously the question arises within the companies and management whether they can allocate the budget for building a solution in-house or they can go with the pre-built vendor solution. Because of the technological advancements, now the capability of building in-house has also improved. So obviously the question arises whether an inbuilt solution will cost less or will be more efficient and will be more customizable. But we have to consider few of the major things before we go live with any of the process. That is, we buy a solution or we go with the inbuilt solution. So in both these cases, we have to consider the cost, the speed of the solution or integration, and the scalability of the solution and the maintenance of the solution post go live as well. So we have to consider all these things before going with any of these decisions. So this webinar will help you make this decision and help you understand the advantages as well as the disadvantages involved with both the choices. So if you see the upcoming roadmap of e-invoicing, almost 80 plus countries have given the mandate of or given an update of going live with e-invoicing in the upcoming years. And few of them have already mandated e-invoicing. The countries in red have already mandated e-invoicing, and countries with yellow are uh, making e-invoicing as a voluntary option, whereas countries marked as dark blue have made mandatory e-invoicing in the upcoming years. They have mandated e-invoicing in the upcoming years. So, and more countries are also adopting this e-invoicing because of the advantages for the government. And the major thing to notice here is each country has its own customized e-invoicing adaptation. That is, one adopts PayPal in as Pint AE or Pint SG, and whereas Malaysia is adopting it as MY Pint. And some countries like KSA are not using PayPal standards. They are developing standards upon the UBL structure and making e-invoicing their own using the portals created by the government. So in this way, each and every country has its own adaptation of e-invoicing, and the complexities are and the variations are so many that it becomes a headache to keep track of all these different kinds of mandates. So this is one of the key things to consider before building an e-invoicing solution, because a single solution will not work for all the countries. So that is a key point. And going further, we'll discuss the main resources needed for companies for building it in-house or for in case they are going with vendors, what is the resources needed by the company in both cases. So first we'll see the case of building it in-house. Right. So for building it in-house, they'll need obviously they'll need developers. That is, IT team is needed of 2 to 3 members for developing the solution, building the APIs, connecting the APIs, doing the mapping and error handling and testing as well. So for testing, you need again separate engineers, testing engineers. 1 or 2 engineers might be required for that. And whereas for when you come to the tax aspect of the e-invoicing, you need 1 to 2 experts of e-invoicing tax experts who analyze the schema and the government mandates and give inputs to the tech and testing team for aligning the solution to the government's mandate. And next comes the project manager. You will obviously need a project manager to steer this e-invoicing project in the proper roadmap and in the proper deadline. So for that, you need a project manager to align your e-invoicing goals. And as well as post the building of the solution, you will need a support and maintenance team for all the errors handling and changes, maintenance of the solution, as well as maintaining the servers and other things related to e-invoicing. So the total headcount comes around 6 to 9 people, more or less. And this is in the case of a single country, if you take it take that into perspective. So whereas if you go with a pre-built solution, you will not need any developers, but single developer or ERP specialist or someone with from the IT team who is involved with the ERP might be needed for simple integration or API related or SDK related implementations. A single person from the IT team might be needed for as a point of contact. Whereas you will not need any testers or tax experts or complaints experts because everything will be handled by the vendor. Whereas when it comes to project manager, it is a senior person who will be the point of contact for the vendor to give updates or to have a relation between the vendor and the company. So for that, one person will be needed, but this is not a full-time job for that manager or a senior person. It would be a occasional call or an occasional visit or occasional offline or online meet for engaging and discussing the future aspects of the present scenarios. So this will be like a part of his job, not a complete person dedicated to this. Right? And when it comes to support and maintenance, there will not be any personnel needed for support and maintenance separately. Everything will be handled by the vendor. Whereas so the total headcount comes to around 1 or 2 people, and even those people, it will be a one-time or occasional engagement with the vendor for e-invoicing process. So in this way, the team resources needed for building it in-house will be drastically reduced if you go for a pre-built solution or a vendor. So going to the next key parameter to consider is the speed of implementation. So if you see, building the solution will always take more time than going with a pre-built solution. And the building of the solution might take anywhere between 4 months to 10 months, according to the complexity of the mandate given by the government. It's not just a technical part. You have to also consider the tax and mandates and the coordination between those teams to develop the solution. And there will be errors, mistakes, and rectification needed. And after all these things, the solution will get ready. So it will anyhow take between 4 to 10 months to build a solution, even with advanced coding with AI as well, right? But when you go with a vendor, it will take with all the integration and the implementation process, it will take around 4 weeks with a common vendor you get in the market. But whereas if you choose compliance, we have drastically reduced the implementation time using our proprietary Gets platform as well as few of our technologies, which reduces the implementation time and speed of implementation within a week of time. An expert developer is there in your team, or you have a proper ERP team who can easily implement e-invoicing. We can even deliver the implementation within few days, given that your data and there are no gaps in the tax side or tax mandates. So this is achieved by compliance, which is one of the key aspects of differentiators from other vendors. So speed of implementation plays a major role of deciding whether going in-house or going with an in-house solution or with a out vendor from outside. So moving to the next key aspect, it is the integration challenge. Even though you build a solution in-house, integrating it with different ERPs, with different ecosystems that you might be having will be difficult or tedious sometimes. So few companies I have seen, they have multiple ERPs in their ecosystem. For B2C, they have separate POS system, and B2B invoices, they have separate ERP. And for different types of industries, for example, if a company is in construction as well as in logistics, they have different ERPs supporting each activity. So the complexity depends upon the company. And as well as while going for an inbuilt solution, it might seem that because of this complexity, proper vendor cannot deliver a customized solution for these cases. But I beg to differ in case, but because solutions like compliance give easy solutions for all the cases. But moving back onto the topic here, so the tasks involved in the integration involve clear data management, maintaining a proper master data, field mapping, that conversion of data from ERP standard to uh, languages like XML or standards like PEPAL, and also maintaining servers and custom integrations or API connectors. So there are multiple things when it comes to ERP integration. So even though you develop a solution which is custom built for different ERPs, you have to hire experts for each and every ERP system if you don't have them in-house, and have them in your payroll, right? So for every ERP, and every ERP needs a country specific as well as an ERP specific flow. So these must be built, tested, and then maintained separately. And the thing is, when all businesses tend to grow from a single country business to a multi-country business eventually, so when this happens, so this process has to be repeated for the other countries as well. So you have to multiply the complexity of this into the number of countries you are planning to expand to. So that will become a significant point, and this will take away most of your time and most of your developers' time when building in-house. So this is a key aspect to consider. So whereas the same integration challenges when it comes to compliance or a vendor-like compliance, especially vendor-like compliance, because we have built pre-built connectors and SDK kits which plug into major ERPs like SAP, Oracle, Tally, Zoho, and also we have SDKs that easily connect to custom ERPs. And the main part of the e-invoice data mapping part, we have automated it completely. So with a simple click, any random or any small level developer also can easily integrate our solution with their ERP, given that they have simple knowledge of their ERP system. And we have given detailed, clean API docs as well for them to integrate it. So this integration and mapping takes a few days work, and the auto mapping reduces the developers' effort drastically. So auto mapping, they have to again write the whole code for mapping the e-invoice fields from their database to that of our APIs or that of the government APIs. So, but we have made this very simple using our GETS technology, which I'll be explaining in coming slides. But we have to consider that there are solutions like Compliance which drastically reduce these integration challenges across ERPs and across countries. So you can have a cost-effective and easily integratable solution for even complex situations in your ERPs or in your company. So few companies think of having custom dashboards, even though you integrate with APIs and you can send it to the vendor. They want a customized dashboard or modules within their ERP systems to see all the invoice data and to process all the data within their system itself. So even in this case, if you go for an inbuilt solution, you have to hire a systems integrator for developing these modules, and you have to develop it for each and every country according to the differences. But when you come to compliance, we have partnered with system integrators, and we have evolved in such a way that they implement it in a very efficient way and repeatable way, so that a single time integration can work for multiple countries and multiple data. So the with our SIs, the data mapping might not be required for each and every ERP or each and every time you go to different country. Rather, it will be a standard procedure which can be easily repeated with very much minimal cost for different countries. So in this case, a pre-built solution like compliance can drastically improve the efficiency as well as reduce the cost. So coming to the next key aspect to look into is the scalability of the solution. So if you see in this graph, we have represented stress level of the teams involved, as well as the integration complexity with the yellow and red line. So this keeps on increasing as you expand to multiple countries. And the complexity, risk of compliance, that is, whether you go live within the deadline or the solution works properly according to the government mandates, this has to be taken care of and tracked with by your team members for different countries. Just imagine tracking this for 10 countries at a time. You cannot do this with a single team. You have to have multiple teams, and everyone should be in your payroll continuously. So this solution cannot be scaled to different countries. And even if you scale it, this will become your core business rather than what you are actually doing as a business right now. So that should not be the case. You have to completely dedicate your efforts and your team to improving your core business rather than uh, fixating on building an inbuilt solution. So whereas if you see the blue line there, uh, if you use vendors like Compliance, you can easily go live and you can easily convert or transfer this stress on your team to vendors, and they will handle all these complexities and make you go live with e-invoicing very much easily. Your team's involvement, as well as the cost, as well as the stress that involves in the process of going live will be drastically reduced from your team and will be transferred to vendors like Compliance. We will be handling with an expert tax team and proper support, and as well as an expert implementation team to make your e-invoicing journey very smooth. So moving on further, the next final aspect is the cost. So one of the major things why companies try to build e-invoicing solution in-house is because of the comparable cost. They think that anyway going with a pre-built solution costs this much. So with this amount, I can build it in-house and I can build it with customizations as well. So this is the initial thought that any company has. But the thing is, while scaling or while taking into account even the unpredicted cost, this cost will scale up much more drastically in the upcoming years or in the future. So there'll be many unexpected costs. For example, if you have a team which builds e-invoicing solution in-house for a particular country, you have to continuously keep them in payroll and increase their wages as and when they get promoted or as and when years pass. One thing. And when you scale to multiple countries, you have to take into consideration different tax experts from different countries as well, or people who are able to handle different countries and multiple countries at a time. Obviously, that team size will surely increase, as well as the number of ERPs. You might be using different ERP in a different country because of the cost or because of the nature of business. So accordingly, you have to hire a different ERP expert as well. So first thing is the hiring and maintaining the payroll of the implementation development team as well as the support team. And the next thing comes is the mandates according to different countries. So what countries are now doing is, for example, take countries like UAE, what they are doing is they are setting up rules that only accredited service providers can transmit the e-invoicing data to the government. So in those cases, you have to become an accredited service provider yourself in order to do e-invoicing in that country. And if you try to implement the solution which you have pre-built for a particular country in UAE, that will not be very easy. That you cannot reuse the solution. You have to become an accredited service provider, and only then you can use the solution. And on top of that, there are many rules like you have to do e-invoicing for up to 2 years. That is, you have to properly give a solution or maintain a solution for up to 2 years for becoming an ASP. You have to have insurance, or you have to maintain a local server in order to do e-invoicing or to get accredited. So there are other unexpected costs in different countries which you might not know of at present, because even the government has not mandated or given out those mandates or rules. So in those cases, there are so much of unexpected cost that comes in that scales up the cost drastically. Uh, Whereas in case of a pre-built vendor, you can easily assess or predict the cost of your businesses that will incur for your businesses with the e-invoicing solution in coming mandates as well as in the upcoming mandates. So in this way, you can easily plan your expenses and allocate the budget now itself for the upcoming decade or even future country expansions as well. So all these situations lead to the conclusion that the cost will also get drastically increased if you go with an inbuilt solution. And there's always advantages for a business to go with a pre-built solution. So another thing is that if you go to a country and say, for example, you want to try out simple business strategy, and if it works, you will expand and do e-invoicing and other, you will expand the business, or else you want to back out from that country. So in that case, if the e-invoicing is mandated and you want to do a solution, replicate the solution, it will not be very useful for a test case. But with a vendor, you can easily opt for a country and revert it back, and you need not pay for the solution if you don't use it. Right? In that way, there's also flexibility to the countries which you can expand to and explore. So in this way, cost this comes as a major thing to consider before you build a solution in-house or go for a pre-built solution or a vendor. So as we have come to a conclusion, or we can say that going with a vendor will be a better choice, only better choice in most cases, but in few cases, like if you have very customizable solution which you can build in-house and you have the resources, you can surely go with an inbuilt solution. But if you are going with this type of a vendor, there are many questions that you have to first ask before choosing a proper vendor. So the first question is the technical capability. So as I already mentioned, there is very customized problems for particular companies which they come across for e-invoicing, or they have very specific ecosystem of ERPs that they need to cater to. So they have to first look for vendors that are capable of addressing their uh, particular case or particular scenarios and are compliant with the government for using like in those circumstances. So they have to be adaptable and technically capable of solving your e-invoicing case. The second thing is integration and support. Their integration process should be very easy, very adaptable, and easily implementable with the current workforce that you have. And the workforce should be working on a project basis. That is, they should not be continuously involved with the e-invoicing solution. Rather, only during the implementation time, they have to be involved. After that, they have to focus on the core business activity of whatever the business you are doing. So the integration should be very easy and very minimal, and it should get the integration should get finished within a few weeks of time. So the speed of implementation should also be the major parameter to consider in a vendor. And the next thing is a support. Whether it's support during the implementation or during the gap analysis before the implementation or after the implementation, that is after post go live, the support should be phenomenal, or else there will be heavy penalties from the government and there will be complete internal chaos according to the ERP's data and stuff. So support should be a continuous thing from the vendor, and it should be on a proper standard. So the third thing that you have to consider is the security and reliability. So when it comes to security, you have to ensure that they have properly accredited and they have the proper security standards. They are SOC 2 accredited, they are accredited by the government entity as well, and they have other data encryption certificates as well. And also, you have to ensure that they have proper archival for your data, and that archiving is also secured through proper security and proper infrastructure. And you have to check whether the archival is local or according to the mandate given by the government, and that the vendor is a reliable vendor who you can trust with your data. And the fourth thing is business partnership. So most companies think that e-invoicing is a one-time project or a one-time solution, which they can simply build in-house or they can buy and get it done with. But it's not the case. There are continuous mandate updates from the government. There is technical and technological updates from in the ecosystem of e-invoicing as well. And e-invoicing should be considered as a business partnership between the business as well as the e-invoicing provider, so that the e-invoicing provider continuously supports them technically as well as with the mandates and tax part of the e-invoicing. continuously throughout their business and as well as for future needs as well. So whatever changes government takes in gives as well as the future needs of the company should be solved by the particular vendor. If you try to go with a very single time or a single country solution, what happens is the cost of expanding into multiple countries will become high because of you trying to implement different e-invoicing solutions in different countries. So the vendor should also support multi-country e-invoicing so that your life becomes very easy. And the fifth thing comes is the future proofing of business. You have to find a vendor or solution that keeps on updating itself according to the upcoming technical and uh, tax updates. So as and when there is great change in the technology as well as in the tax field and the e-invoicing environment, there are updates. The vendor should get updated and the solution should also get updated according to those changes. So you have to find a solution which is future proof for your business as well as for the countries that your business is expanding it into. So coming to the final few important things to look for e-invoicing solution. So we'll discuss few of the major mistakes companies make while implementing or while selecting a vendor or while choosing whether to build it in-house or going for a pre-built solution. So the first thing is the organizational mistake. That is, they don't assign a leadership position for e-invoicing project and they don't assign a head or a key figure for making this e-invoicing project success. First thing you have to do is you have to organize this e-invoicing process as a project and then assign a leader for this process. And then we have to assign the team members in such a way that all the departments are involved which are related to e-invoicing. That is, the team should have a leader and then members from IT team, tax team, as well as finance team. Because these are the teams that are involved with e-invoicing and they will give very important insights regarding election of vendor or if you are building it in-house, they will give key insights for how the solution should be and how it should work in order to get the optimal results or the get the output or the get the e-invoicing correct. So the organization should be very systematic. And the next thing comes is a planning and timeline mistake. So you have to plan the roadmap and also the milestones accordingly so that as and when you complete each milestone, you are closer to the solution or you're closer to implementing e-invoicing. So because of lack of organization and a proper team, the planning is also gets lagged and the deadline always gets missed. So planning mistakes are very common mistakes that you see in many companies. And the third thing is the technical implementation mistakes. The implementation of e-invoicing should be done in a proper way in order to avoid future penalties and delayed go live. So what many companies do is they misinterpret the vendor or the solution that they make and they think that it will easily adapt to the solution or easily adapt to the problem that they have. But only at a later date they find that the solution and the problem does not match and they have to again rework on the solution or they have to find a different vendor. So in this case lot of time gets wasted and this might be even because due to the lack of proper decision making on initial stages, because as and when deadline hits near they go with any random vendor and that vendor will not be able to support the custom problems or custom flows that the company exactly has. So in this way, technical implementation gets delayed and mistakes in the implementation occur. And even if you try to hurry up the process without proper gap analysis or impact analysis, implementation mistakes happen because you lose out on few important details to be rectified within the organization before implementation, which leads to implementation mistakes. Right. And the final thing is compliance mistakes. Many companies assume that their data is compliant with the regulations, or they assume that their structure is compliant with the government mandate, and they are negligent to do a gap analysis or an impact analysis. So what happens is if the master data is not aligned, or say you have all the data, but it is scattered in different parts of the ERP or different ERPs. So even in that case, you don't have proper systematic data which can align with the government mandates. So this later on, this becomes very complex to align the data, and it will take so much time internally to align your organization to get that data. If some data is missing also, you have to form a system to collect that data, and then you have to technically store that data and then only start with the implementation. Or else the process will not be systematic and there will be so much gaps in between. So in this way, compliance mistakes are one of the major mistakes that companies go through, that companies makes while doing or implementing in. So finally, we are going to discuss five major aspects of compliance that separates us from other vendors or our competitors in the market. So why choose compliance? Is because of these five important features. The first thing is we only give a single API. There are many companies or vendors out there who claim that they have a single API for integration, but when the developers or ID team gets a hands-on view of the documentation or their APIs, it will not be a single API. It will be multiple APIs for different e-invoice types. And for different countries, it will be complete different types of APIs as well. So, but with compliance, you get a single API for all the transaction types and as well as all the scenarios and as well as for all the countries. So with the single API, you can integrate with many countries at once. And with this API, you can push the e-invoice payloads using the SDK to our API platform, where you can auto map all the invoice details in the payload to the government mandates in our platform itself. So auto mapping is one of the key features that only we are giving, and it's unique to compliance, which reduces the implementation time drastically and takes the load of implementers, either in either case, whether you are going for a buyer, a vendor, or as well as you are using an system integrator to implement custom solutions. Auto mapping is always a major thing that takes away so much of time and effort. So we have automated this auto mapping and productized it for you to easily use it. And then even if you are implementing it to your customers, in some cases, you are an ERP and you are selling your ERP to multiple users, and you want to automap their uh, you automap the solution and give it as a service. This automapping becomes your weapon to easily integrate it to multiple users and give it as an added service for your business. And when it comes to rule adapters, with a single API, we validate and also give out errors according to the validation and also process the invoice data before submitting it to the government. So validation is completely done before submitting it to the government, and everything is done with the single API. And the fourth thing is the sandbox environment. We give custom sandbox environments to test your invoices, validate it, and submit it to the sandbox environments of the government before going live with the production environment. So in this way, you can rest assured you can surely have confidence before going live with the e-invoicing. Right? So the final thing is the compliance dashboard. If you do not implement custom built dashboards in your ERP, if you don't want to do that, you can easily have an overview of all the invoices across all the countries in a single dashboard using our compliance one dashboard. So this way, these are the five parameters that sets us apart from other vendors in the market. So as I already mentioned, we have a proprietary e-invoice format called GETS. So GETS stands for nothing else but Global E-Invoicing Transformation Standard. It's nothing but an amalgamation of all the e-invoicing standards in different regions and across the globe. And we have formed a single standard. If you align your data or master data with this standard once across all your entities, you can easily convert this data with that single API and submit it to any government easily. So in this way, you need not rework for each and every country and align your data according to the specific country's need for each and every country. You can at a time align the data across all your entities with a single effort. You need not hire experts, or you need not hire data correction or gap. You need not do gap analysis for each and every country. So in that way, you can save a lot of cost using GETS format. And using this GETS format, you can easily reduce the implementation time by almost 10x. Like, and you can go live with e-invoicing within weeks or within days also. So this is a major advantage for your company to go live with e-invoicing 10x faster and be ready with e-invoicing before everyone else, and be ready with e-invoicing so that your teams does not hustle and firefight at the end. So we are at the end of this webinar. So we will see what are the key takeaways that we got from this webinar. So the first thing is building gives control, but it demands a constant maintenance and developer bandwidth as well as cost. So the payroll for the team used for building and solution should also keep on increasing as the years go. So obviously the cost gets drastically increased. And the second thing is buying accelerates your go live, and often you will go live within weeks. And e-invoicing is not a one-time process; it's an ongoing process in every country. And there are live updates from the government as well as updates is required from technical side as well. So, and the fourth thing is scaling an in-house solution becomes very complicated, and cost also becomes exponentially uh, high as you expand to different countries and as your business expands to multiple regions. Excuse me. So the in the long term, cost obviously builds up for an inbuilt solution. And when you go with the pre-built solution, the compliance, you can easily predict the cost which would be occurring for e-invoicing for the upcoming decade as well. So you can easily have a proper uh, cost calculation for e-invoicing. So the ERP integration is the biggest pain point that comes for the internal team. The ERP mapping, data maintenance, server maintenance, all these things pile up, and it will become a big headache for your internal teams if you are going live with a single country itself. So if you try to go live with multiple countries, this becomes an even bigger problem. And what Compliance is offering is a unified API platform that can easily connect with a single API that can connect to multiple countries, that is 100 plus countries, and your team's stress and uh, headache is completely transferred to Compliance, as well as you can easily scale your business to multiple countries without any stress or without any astronomical cost increase. So in this way, Compliance completely supports your business to go live with e-invoicing in multiple countries. So with this, I thank you all for attending this webinar, and you can surely contact us through the contact details given in the screen. And Compliance will be more than happy to book a personal demo call with you to explain GETS and how we reduce the implementation time and reduce the stress, as well as the integration complexity and e-invoicing complexity, and make it a fun and easy process for your teams rather than a tedious mandate and serious process. And we go live with e-invoicing within weeks, helping your business accelerate and scale in different regions instantly. So with this, we come to the end of this webinar. Thank you all